Hello guys, welcome back. In this session, we are going to look into how to measure the variability within the given data set. So let's start our discussion. So before starting the discussion about the measure of variability, we have to understand that what actually the variability is. So guys, in a very simple term, I would tell that variability is another set of measurement which actually used to describe the amount of variation we are having within a given data, whether our data is containing low variability, whether our data is containing medium variability, or whether our data is containing high variability. So how do we come to know that, or say how do we can measure those variations within the given data set? So now let's discuss about those techniques which will help us to measure the variability within the given data set. So basically there are four techniques we basically use to measure the variability within the data set. The first one is the range. We need to identify the highest value and the lowest value within the given data set, and then we will calculate the difference between the highest value and the lowest value to identify the range. So how do you calculate the range? So you should calculate something like this. So here in the given example we are having 11 numbers, and out of these 11 numbers the highest value is number 11 and the lowest value is number 1, and we have subtracted from highest value to the lowest value, then we got the range. So this is about the calculating the range. One thing you should make sure that whenever you are doing such calculation, you have to first sort the data and then pick the first value and the last value for applying the range calculation. Now let's proceed further and discuss about another technique to identify the variance within the given data set. So the another technique we are having is called interquartile range. So let's discuss about this technique. So in interquartile range, what we actually do, we actually divide the data set in 3 quarters. In the first quarter, we have 25% of the data. In the second quarter, you will see that it contains the 50% of the data, and in quartile 3 we are having 75% of the data. Quartile is nothing but a range of percentage distribution. Over here we are having 8 number, so the first 2 number is the representation of the 25% of the data. Another first 4 number is the representation of 50% of the data, that is called Q2 or say quartile 2, and the next 6 number is the representation of Q3, that is 75% of the data. Now to get the variation within the data set with the help of interquartile range, we have to use this formula Q3 minus Q1. So now the question over here is, how do we calculate the Q3, quartile 3 and the quartile 1 for this example? So for this example we are having over here Q3 at 6 and 7. So we will pick this number and calculate the average of these two numbers. In the same way we will calculate the quartile 1 by taking the number 2 and 3 because it is falling over here, and the average value will be the result of Q1, that is quartile 1, and then we will minus the value of quartile 3 to quartile 1. So let's look into the example how this entire calculation will look like. So to calculate the interquartile range, we need to first take the Q3 value, that is 6 plus 7 divided by 2. Then we will get the number 6.5. Same way we have to take 2 plus 3 and it will give us the result, and it should be divided by 2 and it should give us the result 2.5. And now if you minus 6.5 minus 2.5, then we will get the result 4. So that means our interquartile range is 4. So this is one of the method to identify the variations within the given data set. Now let's proceed further and let's discuss about another method to calculate the variations, that is called variance. So let's discuss about this. So to calculate the variance, we use this formula. Over here, sigma is the representation of the standard deviation, and if you square it, then you will get the variance. So basically this formula represents that in a population, variance is the average square deviation from the population mean. So what it means? So it means that we have to first identify the mean value or say average value of the given data set, and then we will subtract with each data point with the mean value, and then we will square the result, and once we get the result for each of the data point, then we will sum them up and then we will divide it with the total number of data points. So this is about the variance calculation. Now let's proceed further and let's discuss about another method to calculate the variability, that is standard deviation, and this is also pretty much straightforward. Once you have done the calculation on variance, then the same formula you will see it over here, but this time you are having the square root. So that means if you calculate the square root of this variance, then you will get the standard deviation. And what a standard deviation tells us how much deviation we are having for a given data point from the mean. As I already mentioned that if we are having a normally distributed data, then 68% of the data which belongs to one standard deviation, either from the positive side or from the negative side, and 95% of the data is having two standard deviation, and at last almost 99.7% of the data of a normally distributed data, it has a standard deviation of 3. So now we have seen all the four methods which is used to calculate the measure of variability within the given data set, and this is what I wanted to discuss in this session. See you in the next session. Till then, bye bye, take care.